as the new challenger looks to dethrone the two-time winner Kane, who defeated 2 premier North Americans so far, Select, of course, and then Astoji. Top right-hand position we have as the blue Terran is my student, DDE.
And you're the coach, right?
The professor coach.
You're
yes.
the assistant coach.
Hey.
That's true.
Yeah.
Who's the...
No, my title is actually coach.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I'm like assistant admin, I guess. You want to call
You're
it like
assistant administrator.
Yes.
Wow. Well, at least, Andre, you're very honest about your position, which is really nice. A lot of people are like, yeah, like, I'm like this on the team, but they're really just like, you know, they don't really do much. But, Andre, it's really cool. And, you know, shout out to teams like It's Gosu, because recently Check 6 disbanded, and they're just trying to explain that it's really hard to run a team. It's not that easy, especially, you know, mid-tier where you don't have the huge title list of sponsors like EG. And it's really difficult to run, but the fact that they're able to stay afloat and still make their known presence with really good players like DDE and other players on Gosu like Astoji, Poke Bunny, and Huang Xin. So, shout out to you guys.
Shout out to us guys.
Yeah. I think it's really cool, because especially as the scene develops, it'll be more important for people to get behind teams as well as individuals, not just necessarily the players themselves.
That being said, we need more team leagues.
That's true.
We need more team leagues, man.
That's true. Good thing we're doing... well, we used to do Team League in the offseason, but we're doing this.
Well, I'm sure, I mean, concocting, brewing some stuff up.
Hopefully, to work it. The team arena for IPL was phenomenal as well. But of course, right now we're focusing on the individuals. This King of the Hill is all about themselves. For now, let's go ahead and introduce our players. Starting in the top right, we have DDE, the blue Terran from It's Gosu, who used to be on Six Jacks and NRG. I remember been following this guy since the beginning of StarCraft 2. I thought he was really one of the premier North American Terrans. And he's up against the current Gauntlet holder. It is Kane, the yellow Zerg, who's taken out some of the top names in North America, Select and Astoji. In very unprecedented fashion, but very deserved so.
I would say so. DDE, as I was saying, very unpredictable. You never know what he's going to do. And he just hits the most awkward timings where you never think that composition would actually hit. That's the trouble with him. Your expectations for him is so huge. Like, you don't know what to expect, when to expect it. It could be some sort of ninja expansion directly after 3 barracks. It could be, you know, just straight up marine pressure the whole game with no upgrades. I honestly don't know what to say about him. He probably has 100 builds in his repertoire.
Yeah, and he reminds me a lot of like another player on your team, Rhythm, because for a while it was one of those things where not only does DDE he's not only like capable of doing all those different builds, whether it's a heavy aggression cheese or it's like a heavy macro play, but he knows that you're afraid of it. Yeah. And he's able to really mind game you over a series. And so that's kind of like what you can't really prepare for DDE, and that's kind of what he likes about his style. That's what's kind of cool.
And you know what? That's actually what plagued, I think, the It's Gosu members for a while, and typecast them as very all-in players, because, you know, you would have all these crazy different builds.
Yeah.
And
especially like players like WBC and Rhythm and all these other guys.
and that's actually the power of them, because they can actually play macro games and they have indicators to tell them, hey, this cheese will work and this cheese won't. Now, we saw this Marine Shock Squadron, I guess, going across the map. This is actually to deny a third base and, of course, take map control. DDE is going to continue pressuring on here. I actually am a little bit worried for him. I know he's trying to do a little bit of pressure, but the trigger is normally you see a third base and then you go out to attack. Here, there are a lot of different all-ins that will actually crush, I think, DDE.
Yeah.
And he's going to continue on, putting down a bunker. Now, he might be able to get this out. The first queen is going to go down. Beautifully done. Now taking out a couple of these overlords. It puts Kane in the yellow. 10 roaches are out in the way, though. That'll help out quite a bit. But if he can kill a lot of these queens.
Trying to get the second queen as well. A couple overlords are very tender. And oh, look like this. A very good job. Micro he's getting the third queen as well. He's also going to pick off several of these drones. That's going to set Kane so far back, because the way he was preparing his economy looked like he was going to go for a huge Roach Bane bust, because he has 2 gases only. And of course, DDE scouts no third, so he says, well, something suspicious. And now he sees the roaches. He has to bunker up like mad. Now, the good news is that he did go for 3 barracks instead of just going for 1 barracks and then the 3rd command center. But regardless, DDE still has to pretty much get a lot more if he wants to hold it off. And look at that, going to reposition accordingly so that he can wall off against the imminent attack.
Wow, beautifully done by DDE. I really like this. He needs to throw down more bunkers, though, immediately. I really don't think he can just stay on this, because remember, it's Baneling Roach. Baneling Roach is going to crush bunkers so fast. From here, it will be difficult, though, for the Zerg to actually approach this. Yes, you can see the Roaches are just going to back up from here. And I love what he did. Look at this. He swapped out the barracks with the factory. Now it's a ticking time bomb. Your opponent doesn't have a lot of time. 110 seconds before siege mode is done. As soon as siege mode finishes, your attack is done. It's stopped. It's completely nullified. DD from here can continue on just making SCVs and waiting for that imminent upgrade to finish.
Yeah, and so basically this wave has to be the one that does decisive damage. Kane going to move into Banelings, but good spread from DD. Now he's also evacuating some of those Marines from the bunkers as well. So thus far, pretty good for Kane. He has to really also focus on crippling a lot of DD's ability to remake units. You can see that the Banelings are pretty much avoiding contact with any important or non-important units. And you can see that DD is still waiting for siege mode, but it's about to finish. That's going to make reinforcements a lot harder for Kane. But can DD hold this? He's going to lose a lot of production or a lot of economy at his natural, but DD looks, at least for now, pretty safe because he has 2 siege tanks, and that means Kane really can't do anything at this point. He's already droning up.
Yeah, DD is massively ahead. What? What did I just say? Yes, DD is massively ahead. You might actually think otherwise, but look at the income tab. 48 to 41, 3 orbital command centers, and look at them. They're banking up a lot of energy. As soon as this finishes out, he's going to actually explode with income, get his 3rd base, knowing his opponent invested into Roaches, Banelings, and he also has some sort of indicator. Look at this, SEV seeing the 3rd base timing. So he knows his opponent really can't do any follow-up aggression.
Yeah.
He's going to take his expansions, get his upgrades, and go and place his 3rd base. Once he does that, he will be so far ahead, even though right now he's behind. I mean, just the amount of production he has to get huge is there.
And at this point, DD is also going for Cloak Banshees to take control of the map as well, so that way it's going to be really difficult for Kane to really do anything in terms of harassing DD's 3rd, since he's the one who's going to be on the defensive back foot. Now, DD is also getting Cloak behind this, and this is actually really cool because, I mean, Kane's tech is severely underdeveloped. It's going to be a while before he can get Overseers out into the map, if he even knows this is coming. And just like you said, you know, DD has a really strong economy right now. Is with all those mules dropping, he's pretty much doubling that of his opponent. And what's cool is that DD has been able to keep his SCV count, because usually, you know, a lot of Terrans just lose everything to the Banelings, and they, even though they have triple orbital, they have to remake everything.
Yeah.
No, DD has a really strong worker count at this point relative to his opponent.
Yeah. I mean, yes, 64 to 52, you would say normally that Terran is behind, but add 13.5 SCVs here into this harvester count, and you're at what, 66.5?
Yeah.
You're very even with your opponent. The mules each 4.5 efficient mining workers per minute, so that's how you get that math over there. A little bit of pressure going to come up here, but Marines and siege tanks very powerful defensively. Really, Kane doesn't have any capabilities, but these 2 Banshees are actually doing so much damage to this 3rd base, forcing the evacuation of all these drones, and now potentially killing this 1 queen. He will go ahead and get it. Are there any forms of detection around here? I don't think so. Just waiting on the Spore Crawlers. So
there is an Overseer that just finished, but the Banshee's got a few extra hits. That's going to be really tough. Now, the Banshee does get targeted. One of them is going to drop, but he's also going to target the Queen that has a lot of energy. This is really good job by DD, and he's going to deal with these Queens, meaning that more Queens need to be on the way, and those are the only 2 Queens, actually, for Kane, and Kane's going to go for a reverse attack here at this point. Kane is taking a lot of damage from the splash of the tanks, and DD does have a good position trying to wall off with the supply depots, using the SCVs to also buffer some of the attack. Great job from DD, and everything that he whittles down at this point makes the attack that much weaker. And DD is looking very, very solid at this point. Kane, I don't think this is going to work out very well. His supply is also looking very poor at this point.
Yeah, he will drop this 3rd base. It will not be able to mine anything more, but Banshee's going to come over here and just force all these units out. So what did you really accomplish? You killed a couple of SCVs, which is also good. Don't get me wrong. Income tab showing 64 to 55, so they are pretty close still. But you didn't really kill that much. You actually forced a lot of units out, which could have been other things. These Roaches, of course, these Zerglings could have been drones. They could have been infestors. They could have been something that's a little bit better going into that mid-game stage. At this point, DDE, all he has to do is really mass up and attack, put a pressure on his opponent, take that center control. Look at these Banshees doing beautiful jobs of clearing out all the creep tumors. This is going to enable DDE to actually take this center control very, very well.
And I mean, DDE's been doing this without Stim. Stim's going to finish at 15 minutes in the game. So at this point, DDE's just been able to really capitalize on whatever units he has. He's sniping these queens, which is so significant because not only is his anti-air, but the fact is, Kane's been on 1-2 queens the entire game, so his larva management has been very poor because of it. He doesn't have the larva count necessary to really deal with it. You can see the infestors immediately fungal some of the Banshees, but even sniping some of the infestors with the Banshees, great control out of DDE while he's getting a lot of position down the center of the map. And I don't think Kane can really hold this position, even though DDE doesn't have that many upgrades. He's got 1-1, doesn't even have combat shields, but he just got so many units.
It's crazy, the success of DDE. And from here, I mean, it's so weird having 15-minute Cloak Banshees be so successful. We saw Select obviously not really do that much with his Cloak Banshees at 10 minutes in, but being so successful against Kane, Kane really doesn't know what to expect sometimes, and obviously just drilling into this natural position, or whatever position this is so advantageous. Although all of his units are clumped up, there aren't enough for fungal growth, so that will affect DDE, obviously, but still, these traits are so beneficial. Because Zergling Roach is very larva intensive. You need to actually splurge on that. DDE, of course, has independence with his SEV count and his unit count. So the fact of the matter is Kane is going to be behind with these trades. Income tab, you can see already 71 to 69, the advantage going to DDE now.
Yeah, that's huge. And yeah, I mean, DDE actually got caught on siege. He was pushing very aggressively on creep, nonetheless. And he got a lot of his siege tanks surrounded. So, I mean, DDE could have actually just pretty much ended the game, I think, right there. At least, or cripple Zerg to the point where Kane couldn't do anything. But great engagement from Kane, and now he's the one who controls center map. Another drop attempt at the third of Kane. He's going to have to pull back some of his units. But DDE, at this point, if he can just really do this systematically, get his upgrades to a very respectable count, he pretty much just stifle the army. You see that he's continuing to trade. Marines pushing the center while dropping the third as well. DDE doing a good job, and of course, using that micro that he's renowned for.
Yeah, I do want to mention one thing about DDE that a lot of people don't know about. Look at his hotkeys real quick.
Yeah, he actually doesn't hotkey his army.
He used to never hotkey his buildings either.
Really?
Yes. He would not hotkey anything. And he's just been all over the place. It's very, very crazy how successfully he's been able to do. You can see, not even if I click on 9, no factories under there. He actually goes back every single time to actually manage his factories and his medevacs. That's also the reason why he sometimes looks so very messy, but DDE pulling it off with just great decision-making time and time again and good micro.
Yeah, he really actually needs to start focusing on a lot on his macro, because at this point, all those resources could have been converted to a huge 2-2, almost max push. And now he's got 2-2, and he does have some units, but a lot of it's actually in production at this point. Oh, a big fungal catching a lot of these units on the top of the ramp, which means that Kane now can successfully take control of the center. Yes. And the center control in Antigua is monumental, Andre.
Yeah, of course. Center control, it really gives the Terran the ability to do so much damage against Zerg. I mean, once you take that center control, you are guaranteed to be successful with your harass. Zerg, they only can deny center control. That's really tough about it. And at this point, Kane, because all those Banshees did so much damage to the creep, you can see that the Ultras are super, super slow. Now, look at this really quickly. 5 upgrades for the Carapace, the Zerg Carapace. Ground is only 2-2 for the Marines and Marauders. Yeah. That actually gives the ability for these Ultras and Zerglings and Roaches to do a ton of damage. DDE is actually going to trade out, though.
Yeah, he had way too many. I mean, he just lost 10, but he still had 80 SCVs, and DDE realizes that. He's going to go for another drop in the third, trying to see if he can snipe that hatchery potentially, and you can see that Kane really trying to rush to the scene, but he's going to lose that hatchery. Another good win, because that's a huge source of income of gas for Kane, and and DDE's going to also discover this hatchery. Now, that's actually the hardest thing about Antigua Shipyard is establishing exterior bases, as DDE is also dropping the main.
Yep, main's going to get cleaned up, but this should actually tell Kane, as soon as all of this gets cleared out, which unfortunately is going to take out the middle expansion, but as soon as all of this gets cleared out, he has to actually commit. He needs to actually do damage against his opponent. And look at this, Kane is again going to lose sight of these units. and they're going to get away. Unfortunate, DDE is buying so much time with this, but he's still not upgrading that 3-3, which he desperately needs. The good thing about it, he is getting Thors, he is getting Marauders. Those two are great ways at clearing up Ultras, obviously. It's just, will it be enough? Because that Ultra count is alarmingly large.
Oh, look at this. DDE adding on 3 more factories. And still not adding it to his hotkeys whatsoever. This is, I'm honestly on his view, and he just pretty much manually clicks it as if it's Brood War. And you can see DDE just doing a good job denying expansions. He's killed off the center expansion. He killed off the 5th attempt, also in the bottom center, and dropping the 3rd once again. There's an Ultras waiting for them, but actually,
look at the power of that 5 armor, man.
6 armor actually at this point.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Oh. This is absurd.
The natural +1 base armor, that one Ultra finally falls, but literally all Kane has to do is just wait until the big engagement actually happens, deny this 4th base. Now DDD is starting to get a great army composition. Obviously, you can see how many Marines are in this. Units tab is showing 21, but within this army, it's only 10. That's not that much, and that means a lot of the allocation is going towards Marauders, and it's going towards Siege Tanks and Thors.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten almost even count of Marauders to Marines, and of course, trying to catch some of these Infestors. And Kane can't afford to keep losing these.
No, he can't.
There's only 3 left, Andre. That's actually huge. And the upcoming battle is just going to be very unfavorable because Kane won't be able to lock down the army, especially without creep.
And is Kane switching over to Greater Spire Tech? Yes, he is. Oh my gosh. So look at what he's doing. He's understanding he has the advantage in ground. And he's saying, my opponent has to catch up in that fashion. Especially with DDE's kind of lackluster control with getting his upgrades. That's actually affecting quite a bit, so he's going to be far behind. He needs to allocate so much gas into defending against Ultras. All of a sudden, when Broodlords come out, he doesn't have the gas necessary to actually defend against them. And I think Kane is actually... I'm gonna throw it out there. I think Kane is actually ahead right now. And even though he's been losing all of his bases, once he gets these Broodlords out, I don't see a foreseeable way that DDE actually defends against this efficiently.
No, when you put it like that, Andre, I can't disagree, because DDE's invested so much into anti-Ultra at this point that he's only got 25 Marines and a couple of Thors to really answer. In fact, he's not even producing Vikings. He doesn't have the infrastructure really to pump out that many. He can pump out 6 Vikings at a time, but it's going to be too far because he has no supply room. So even if he sees this, he can try backing up, but he won't have a lot of, ground to make up because Kane's already controlling the center. And Broodlords have revealed themselves, so DDE is also in an awkward position. A lot of SCVs are caught in the middle of transferring, and now these tanks are pretty much null at this point in terms of positioning. You can see that DDE does have a couple planetaries in the middle of production. Also going for a massive drop, going to hit a huge part of the tech for Kane, which is actually a nice move, but he has to focus on this huge army with Infestor, Broodlord, Ultralisk. This is so much damage potential in the Zerg army, and DDE has to back up.
And just to let you know, just because those Ultras are out actually means that Terran cannot rely on Marines to actually hold them solid. I mean, the Ultras are going to just tank so much, and here we go. The big engagement has started. Let me check the upgrade. 0-0 for air, so it might actually hurt Zerg so substantially much. Vikings coming in from all sides. Infested Terrans being popped down. Is it going to be enough? Is DDE able to actually hold this off? Oh, it's so difficult to actually say. The Ultras are getting cleaned up, but the anti-air is just getting evaporated.
DDE's dropping the main. It's done so much damage. He's cleaned up the infestation pit, and there's nothing stopping him from being able to take out the Greater Spire as well. I mean, he will lose a lot of his economy, but there's almost no answer really to the Vikings that can snipe the rest of the Broodlords. There's a couple of Corruptors as well. It's going to come down to how well they can control each other's army at this point. As you can see, DDE's pretty much cleaned out everything. Hive Tech has been annihilated, and DDE at this point really needs to control this drop and start targeting some really big priorities. But the Ultras hatching is going to just be able to snipe the rest of this drop, and DDE was not able to kite because he's too busy taking out this army also outside of his natural and his third. The Vikings also working on the Broodlords, and now Kane is going to lose almost everything here because he has no anti-air.
Kane went too far with that. And he loses way too many Ultras from here. Now there is a top left-hand position base. DDE at only a measly 91 supply to Kane's 140. Kane does have this 4th base location, but he lost the Hive. He lost a lot of major things. He remade the spawning pool. Did he remake the spawning pool? Where is it?
Yes,
he had
did.
to have. Yes,
yeah,
of course.
back at his third. He's remade almost everything.
Okay, wow.
But he does. If for some reason he lost his Greater Spire, he doesn't have any form of development in Lair or Hive again. So it's going to take a long time for him to be able to reestablish that. DDE has to really hold on to this base in the northwest. But his SCV train is also in the middle of getting caught. Andre, oh no, the Ultras let it go because he wants to focus on this battle here by the center base as well. But this is actually cornering DDE for a huge flank. The Vikings are not even in position to really do anything because there's no Brewers out. He just has to deal with the Ultralists. And DDE has forced himself against the wall, but he doesn't have enough units at this point.
Kane, you are a sicko after seeing what we saw in the beginning of the game. DDE is being cleaned up. This is all the remaining units. GG gets called out. Kane will take the match. Wow. Unbelievable. There was a spot where we were like, DDE, you win if you don't unsiege your tanks all at once and push up onto creep like a madman. And from all of that, Kane was able to come back, losing his third, losing his fourth, time and time again. Still able to take the match. Very unbelievable.
Very well played by Kane. I have to feel like DDE, of course, bobbled a lot of his opportunities.
Yes.
But of course, that was because Kane forced his hand a lot, and it was a really great job by our Zerg player. And honestly, you've covered it everything. Like it just the fact that DDE was not able to establish that control because Kane did a good job denying him, and then that tech switch to Bruno was really messed up DDE's pace because he was gearing up for a huge, massive push. I mean, you saw what happened. As soon as the Ultras was engaging, the Marauders and the tanks destroyed everything, but there was nothing to deal with the Broodlords.
Absolutely. And you mentioned one thing that was so critical. He had too many SCVs. In that position, you cannot be having too many SCVs. You need to start throwing them away.
90 SCVs.
90 SCVs is too much.
Way too much.
60 SCVs is like the max you want to be at when you're in that entrenched warfare. You want to just take the position, have the beautiful composition, and be able to receive anything that tries to come, because you know Zerg only has one chance to do something with a big attack, and that's it. Make sure that you can do something about it. Trade off your SCVs if you want, get additional command centers, but make sure you have your upgrades, make sure you have the right composition, and then you can actually face off against Zerg.
And with that, I am pleased to tell you that Suppy is their next player to face off against Kane. Kane on a 3-kill right now in terms of the King of the Hill. We'll find out if Suppy, the new recruit to Evil Geniuses, will be able to stop him, or will the Kane train keep on going. We'll find out after this break. Don't go anywhere. More action in just a minute.